Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Hobby Dude 007 channel. Just wanted to do a really quick update on the progress of our Fab Shop Pontiac. Stick around, we'll take a look. Hey guys, when you're doing a build like this, I have discovered that you've got a lot of exposed areas that you need to address so they look realistic, or right anyway. And one of those things, and I forgot to show this to you last time, was the battery box. In most stock cars, as you know, the battery box is located behind the driver and it's accessible through the driver's side rear wheel well. And you can see here where I cut open the wheel well access panel area anyway, and here's a look at it from underneath the car. And so I had to build a battery box, and here's a look at using the contour gauge, some of the sheet plastic. I used the contour gauge to get the shape of the wheel well so I could build the box. And here's a look at the finished battery box inside the car, and I think it turned out pretty well. And here's a look underneath the car, and you see the empty battery box, and that'll all be painted aluminum up in there too. I think it turned out really well. This is just a little add-on I did. This is a piece of K&S 10 thousandths aluminum sheet, and I just took my hobby knife and raked down the side to get these little just scrap shavings of aluminum, and I was going to throw those around the car, and I started thinking, well, now I keep doing stuff that's going to make it look more like a diorama, and it's just a simple car under construction, but I may throw some in the floorboard. I don't know. I hadn't made up my mind yet. I'm swaying toward not using them, but we'll see. Let's get over to masking and painting that chassis now. We have our chassis masked off for the aluminum to go on now that we've got all of our steel and the welds and all that on there. As you can see, I've masked off the fuel cell area, which will still be open without the fuel cell because this is a Fab Shop car. I've masked off up here so I can get to the firewall, and I'll show you why I stopped right here in just a sec. Then we've got our frame rails and everything that needs to remain the welded steel colors and all that stuff. Everything is masked, so we are about ready to go. But you know, even though I'm using an airbrush and I can control how much I can get up in here around the firewall and all that stuff, there's still going to be some blowback, and that still can get up here. And you've got a lot of wells and all of this stuff that's been built on, and you know, sticking masking tape all over that can be a problem. But I'll show you how I usually do that, and if somebody's got another way, I am all ears and would love to see it. But what I usually do is use a baggie from this point. I'll take and cut the well, here, I'll do it with the X-Acto. And I use glass, and you notice the green 3M Automotive Performance masking tape. That's what I use. My wife says it's because, wait a minute, I got a new roll here, I'll show you. The packaging, she says the only reason I use it is because it says NASCAR on it. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe it is. You know, I didn't notice that. But anyway, that's a little inside joke with us. But I use these baggies. I don't use the zip part there, obviously. But from here, all I've got to do is, and by the way, this old frame, broken frame I use, when you're going to cut tape, get your rule, your dial caliper, or whatever you use to measure your stuff, and then put that down, and it makes it so much easier to cut and pick up. But from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that front end up to that tape right there, and then I'll just bring this around, and I will tape this. Worked better in rehearsal. Anyway, I'll get this around and I'll tape this stuff together, and that way I don't have to worry about damaging any of the other stuff there. But just a little tip, something I do anyway. And like I said, if there's anybody that's got another way of doing that, that's great. But these things and bodies, when you're doing like let's say the Hardee's car, the first time I did that was on the red, white, and blue Earnhardt car, and it was it really made it easier. But once you get that on there taped up, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get to that firewall and all this stuff. And then we'll get it unmasked. And then it's just a matter of getting back on the body. This is going to be aluminum plate, the Model Master aluminum plate. It's a buffing metallizer. It's the only metallizer I'm going to be using. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get this taped up. Go ahead and we'll get it the aluminum airbrushed, buffed a little bit, and then we'll get on to the body. Stick around. Okay, guys, as you can see, we've got the chassis unmasked. After we got our aluminum on it, I went ahead and set the roll cage in place. I'm going to have this chassis wrapped up either this evening or probably tomorrow for sure. And we'll touch a little bit on the body. Some of that's already in primer and stuff, but I want to show you a few things about that. But now that we've got this unmasked, I went ahead and did a few more of the welds. Let me show you a few things here. You can see and if you really look it over, you'll see about 4 different shades of the metallizers, or well, not metallizers, but the all-clad metals. You see the steel on the chassis, and then the aluminum pans and all that stuff in the welds. Also, you can see the chassis and a lot of the steel work, the different tones of metals in there. And oops, my dash fell out. Of course, I just had it set in there. And something else, if you'll notice right here too, spot welds. I did a few spot welds. Well, before we get into that, let me show you that. Oops, sorry. You see the pop rivets down through there. Those are actually up in the front radiator air duct stuff. That's actually using the pounce wheels that we talked about in one of our other videos as far as tools go. Now here's those spot welds. Here's some pictures of some real cars and the way they just kind of tack stuff on here and there and just real quick. And then there's the pictures of what we've done here, both up front and the back, and as you can see in these pictures. So looking really, really good. And like I said, I'll have this wrapped up probably tomorrow for sure. And then the body's coming along really, really, really well. And so let's get over to that body. Hold on just a sec. On the body, you know, we talked about having an inspection template. And I showed you on a 32nd scale car how we're going to do that. And also notice here, I went ahead and put the windows in, have them taped in. And you notice the spoiler, I went ahead and cut the slit open in that. That inspection template that normally just drops down on the car so they can check the legality, so to speak, of it. And because of the size of my contour gauge, kind of had to do this in 2 pieces. But as you can see, here's the front part. We start right back at the spoiler and come right down, and as you see, we're right on the money. And I will stop right here where you see where the hood is. That's where it kind of stops anyway. Well, I hadn't pulled it back through here, but anyway, it does stop right there at the hood. And what I'll do is then I'll do the front portion, and then I'll do it all out of one piece. I think I'm gonna do aluminum. And that way we'll have our inspection template. Isn't that cool? I just thought that would be a unique idea about it anyway. And we talked about the Clecos last time, the connectors that hold all the sheet metal, as you see right here in this picture from Days of Thunder. And notice here, there's a couple of different gauges of or types of the Clecos. You got a heavier, notice the copper ones are a little bit bigger. And for the front and rear clips, or the high impact bumper areas, those are a little heavier, so those were probably going to be the copper. So we looked at the 20 thousandths K&S brass rod, which is number 8159. And I was going to need it in the same size, but K&S does not make it in copper. But I did found AFW. You can find stuff for everything, guys. Copper rigging wire. This is from American Fishing Wire. It's 20 thousandths. It's pretty good size, and these Clecos do come in that. And this is the same size and gauge, by the way. 20 thousandths, and we'll just be cutting the copper as well, and I think it'll give it a good contrast there in those Cleco connectors holding everything together. But I think overall everything is looking really, really good. Here's a shot of where I masked off to mark the individual body panels, the metal sheets that were hanging, and I've already got those scribed. The car is already sanded and in the dehydrator right now, and I'll be getting primer on it as well as some color on it in the next probably day or so. I want to have this car wrapped up by midweek at the latest, and hopefully then we'll have our finish video. Something else I wanted to do is, as I was looking at the chassis, it's still something about the interior, even though it's in fabrication stage, just looked too empty. So it looked too empty to me. What I decided to do was add a seat, and it's going to be a test fit, like you're test fitting it. Of course, this has got to go through primer and paint yet, but test fitting the seat. So I thought I would put an aluminum seat frame in there, a Kirkley seat. So that's what you see here. I made a template, and then I cut the aluminum, and I did one in brass too. I don't know why, but I thought the brass would be a good contrast. But as I researched, I found out that I don't think they made a brass one. So, but I do have an aluminum here that you see I'm about to solder the bottom into, and I thought that would just be a really cool look to have that bare aluminum seat sitting in there too. And it just gives it a little something more in the interior. It's just so empty. But anyway, that's where we are right now, guys. I'll have this stuff, a lot of it will be wrapped up probably tomorrow, day after, and it is Friday afternoon right now. But the chassis will be totally finished, like I said, tomorrow, and then the body work is well on its way. So I look forward to getting it wrapped up and sharing it with you. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. God bless.